So super excited to have you guys here today. So something a little bit scary is that the year 2020 is almost down to the minute, 4,000 hours away from us, which sounds like a lot, but it's only 166 days. And so I started thinking about this. There's actually some kindergarten teachers here in the audience. And your class of 2019-2020 is actually going to be graduating in the year 2032, which sounds like crazy future times, but it's actually a lot closer than we think. So I'm just going to plug this in so my clicker actually works. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about emerging technologies in 2020 and what that means for the year 2032, because as cool as the academic research is that Rosie was just sharing, a lot of the times that research isn't really going to make an impact for many decades in the future. So I wanted to talk about something that might have a little bit more impact closer to our time frame. And the funny thing is that for us scientists and engineers, this happens to be a very relevant question, because questions that we get to ask ourselves daily is, what does the future look like? And more importantly, what does the future that I want to live in look like, rather than maybe the path it's on at that moment? What role can I play in it, and how do we get there? And I'm sure you guys as teachers shaping the future ask yourselves these questions a lot as well. So just to give you guys a perspective of one of the technology pipelines that happens for getting technologies to the world is we start at the universities. They produce the talent and the ideas that go out into the world. And after a few years, depending on timelines and a lot of different things, between 1 and 5 years, they might produce startups or the technology that goes into startups. And with sufficient money, resources, and luck, those startups might develop technologies that between 3 and 15 years, reach the world. And so today, in what Rosie just discussed, you guys will have a lot of immersion into this side of things, the universities. And what I just led this talk with was, what does the world, that global impact, look like in 2032? So to answer that question, we really have to look at this space. Where is a lot of investment going right now? Where are the technologies at that maybe were in the academic setting a few years ago? So I know you can't read this. You don't have to. You're going to have access to these slides. But one place to look at this, Deloitte puts out this thing called megatrends. Megatrends are the result of the intersection of many trends and technologies that are coming out right now. So society, technology, the environment, economy, politics, you can group the different trends into these categories. And if you focus on the dark blue here, which you guys can look at later, these are some of the technologies that are coming out right now that are really, really cool and changing the way we're going to live in the future. So a couple of these that you'll recognize are additive manufacturing, that's 3D printing, of course, automation, artificial intelligence, these kinds of things. So I'm just going to focus on a couple. One is a startup called Carbon, which is using continuous liquid interface projection printing, which I can talk to you at length about. Some of you guys on my track will get to see some 3D printing stuff today. But they are using this technology to 3D print with high resolution and very fast. This is sped up, but over the course of a few hours, they can produce these really cool structures. And they have actually partnered with Adidas to 3D print shoes. VR and augmented reality. So there's a startup called BioFlight VR, which is actually putting AR into the hands of medical doctors to train students so that they can actually project and see onto a patient inside of them. And they can actually map real patient data to that as well. So it's really, really cool to think about how medicine is going to change as a result of these kinds of emerging technologies. Real quick, does anybody here recognize any of these companies? We, Flexport, Neuro, Rivian, Aurora? If you recognize any of them, raise your hand. Okay, one person, awesome. So this is really interesting. These 5 companies are the companies that in Q1 2019 received 25% of the $32 billion in venture capital spending that was spent January through April. $8 billion between the 5 of them. And actually, 2 of them have headquarters in Michigan. Really fascinating. So what do they do? I'm not going to go over all of them, but I think that they are actually reflective of the trends of investment spending right now, which are focused on internet, automation, AI, autonomous vehicle driving. While you might not see these companies all around you, they are definitely going to be sort of in the headlines, I think, in the next few years. So Aurora, just to pick a couple of them, they do autonomous vehicles and the future. So Neuro, They do as well autonomous vehicles, but this time with a specific purpose in mind, and that's goods delivery. And another company, which wasn't on the list, but I think is really interesting, is the startup that's using drones, self-driving drones to deliver packages. And that company is called Flirty, and they have actually started working with Amazon as well. So it's really, really interesting to think about how that future is going to look like in 2032, right? So these are companies, this is not future, this is now. These companies have the tech working. They're just working on getting it to global impact. And I want to leave you guys with this, because these things that I've talked about today, we're here in the ivory tower of the university, and I think we do have an access problem, right? The things I talked about might not reach some of the communities that I'm from or you guys are from. It's called the leaky tech pipeline. We lose students, we lose people at certain places, and I think you guys have an important role to play, as well as us in the university. We have a responsibility to make sure people don't fall out of this pipeline. So I just want to leave you guys with that message. So that's it for me. Melissa?